How's it going, guys? I wanted to take some time in this video to talk about something that I think is not getting enough attention right now. And what it is, especially if you've read the title of this video, it is how the ATF is doing everything they can to shut down small gun stores. And you know that this is going to lead to even bigger gun stores going out of business, basically big companies, big box stores that are still dealing in firearms. Eventually they'll get tired of fooling with the nonsense from the ATF as well, and they will simply give up. But right now what I wanted to do is focus on what is happening with the small gun stores and tell you a little story of why I wanted to do this video. First thing we're going to do is look at some news articles that I wanted to pull up just to kind of give you guys some more information about what's going on, some of the background on it. And you can see from this article here that the ATF has revoked, it's been a 500% increase in federal firearms licenses within the last month since Biden declared war on guns. Now, this article is dated in May of 2022, and a lot of the changes and things like that that were done by Biden have been, I guess you could say, devastating to a lot of your small businesses. Now, let's just look at some of the headlines here and just go through some of these articles. In the years before the Biden-Harris administration took over, the White House Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosive usually received an average of 40 federal firearms revoked, an average of 40 federal firearms licenses per year. But in the 11 months since Biden declared war on rogue gun dealers, the ATF has revoked 273 FFLs, an increase of more than 500%. And what I want you to remember is that this is an article from more than a year ago, or about a year ago, as of the time that I'm recording this. Let's jump over to a few more articles, including this one here. It's the zero tolerance. The Biden administration is allegedly shutting down gun stores for minor clerical errors. And let's go through some of this as well and just read to you a little more about what's going on. Gun stores are closing at rapid rates after the Biden administration implemented a zero tolerance policy for gun dealers and added updated language to define what can be classified as a willful violation. And that's a very key part of this. Leaving the federal firearms license revocation at a 16-year high, according to Second Amendment advocacy group Gun Owners of America. The increase in FFL revocations is due in part to language and administrative changes within the ATF, as the prior guidance said that the ATF may revoke FFLs, while the new zero tolerance policy says that the ATF will revoke FFLs for initial violations. The increase in licenses revocations, 92 in 2022 alone, is also due to the updated procedures that the ATF follows, as they no longer always go through a multi-step process, often opting to pull licenses for a multitude of willful violations, according to a GOA fact sheet and leaked documents on the updated policy. And it goes on to say, back in the day, there was a process that they would go through. Yeah, it's called due process. That they would go through when they discover a mistake or an incorrect record. And it starts with a warning letter. They would work with the FFL and then go on second inspections. If they find more mistakes, they'll do a work conference and actually talk to the FFL. Then, if they still are uncompliant, after that, they would do a license revocation hearing. GOA Director of Federal Affairs, Adian Johnson, told the DCNF. Under the Biden administration's new policy, the warning letter and conference safeguards are often circumvented. In other words, these gun stores have no due process rights, leaving the ATF to pull licenses on the first go-around, Johnson told the DCNF. Let's look at a couple of these gun stores. And this is a case out of New Jersey, and it turned out to be a good case. But I want you to see some of the specifics. of this case. Ira Lewis could not be happier. He continued to operate his gun shop, Legend Firearms, which is located in Monroe, New Jersey. Levin has owned and operated the small gun shop since 2009, which is no small feat, given the Garden State's blatant antipathy, I can't pronounce that word, y'all excuse me, toward guns and gun dealers. Levin has sold more than 21,000 firearms and has been inspected dozens of times by both New Jersey State Police and ATF. They have never found a deficiency, at least not until Joe Biden declared war on gun dealers. Let's go down through here and look at this. During an inspection in October 2022, an ATF Industry Operations Investigator, or IOI, found several deficiencies. A few customers wrote USA on the 4473 because they mistakenly thought the form asked for their country rather than their county. Levin's staff did not catch the errors. Okay, that is an important part. In addition, one of Levin's part-time employees transferred a firearm to 3 customers more than 30 days after they had signed the 4473. The ATF inspector said Levin's employee should have had the customer fill out new 4473s before they took possession of the gun, because the form expires after 30 days. To be clear, all the customers passed background checks. None were prohibited persons. Let's continue. Biden's war on guns, a multi-generation Florida family gun business, is the latest casualty. This is from August of 2022. Master gunsmith James Morrison founded JM Gun Repair 46 years ago after doing gun repairs in his garage. The gun shop has been a local institution ever since, offering firearms, black powder, and reloading gear, ammunition, including hard-to-find calibers, and James' incredible skill as a master gunsmith with 50 years of experience. The business is perfectly located, straddling the county line between Sarasota and Branton, Florida. This has been a family legacy for 46 years, said James' grandson, Noah Morrison. His father and uncle work at the shop too. Noah, who just turned 21, dreamed of becoming the third generation of Morrisons to operate this family business. However, his dreams were dashed when George Hancock, an ATF Industry Operations Investigator, an IOI, walked into the shop at around the same time Joe Biden announced his war on rogue gun dealers. During the audit, he found faults in our paperwork, Noah said. In the past, for these types of minor faults, an auditor would have just handed us a pen and told us to fix them. Noah's father, Ben Wayne Morrison, agrees. These were clerical errors, but they changed the definition, he said. Under their new definition, they said our violations were willful. After 46 years, we never gave a gun to someone who shouldn't have it, but that didn't matter. None of the violations were on Biden's rogue gun dealer list. This is a business that had been in operation for 46 years. And they were being destroyed because of what Biden has done. The reason that I wanted to talk about this today is because of events that have happened recently around me. In fact, it's happened to friends of mine. And this same so-called zero tolerance garbage that Biden is putting on gun stores, literally in some cases punctuation errors, as we've seen from some of those. This zero tolerance nonsense has affected friends of mine. It has affected more than one gun store in the area where I live and across the country. If you guys go in and look into some of the gun dealers in your area, I'm willing to bet you're going to see some of the same things. The reason that I wanted to bring this up is because these federal agencies, particularly the ATF, they're out of control. An ATF agent should be someone that is helpful. These are supposed to be public servants. If a gun store makes a mistake as far as punctuation or something like that, that is not a willful mistake. Okay, these businesses, with all of the transactions that they go through, it is very easy to miss a checkbox on some of these. Okay, the customer, yes, the gun store is supposed to check. And, it is very, very easy for even a gun store clerk to overlook something. Recently, when I filled out a 4473 at a gun store, I had a difference in the way that I made the check in one of the check boxes. As you're going through the list, you have the different boxes that you have to check for various parts of that 4473. The gun store that I made the purchase at was so worried because of the differences in the way that those check boxes were, the way that I made the check in them. They asked me to initial and date by side that checkbox, just because they know that they could very easily have their license pulled as well because of this zero tolerance nonsense. In another case from about a year ago, there was a gun store that had been in business for decades, similar to what we've seen and what we just read about in this other one. This gun store, one of the boxes that got missed was the one that is asking whether someone is Hispanic or non-Hispanic. Believe it or not, on a 4473, and you can go look this up, there is two questions. One asks if you are Hispanic or non-Hispanic, and then the other is the race of the individual. By looking at this, the way that it is very easy to believe that you just make one check to identify the race that you are. But unfortunately, that's two questions, and you have to answer both of them. Another gun store, and this has happened to a couple, but gun stores have lost their FFL licenses that have had spotless records for decades, simply because someone failed to select non-Hispanic. They would select white, whatever, and, did not select the non-Hispanic, and because of this new zero tolerance garbage, they've had their FFL revoked. This is something that is inexcusable. Friends of mine, I'm not going to get a lot of detail just because of what has happened to them, but at the same time, what happened with them is pretty much equivalent. It is what could be simply stated as a clerical error. This is something that I want to emphasize, is that no one who is a prohibited person was ever transferred a firearm. It's just a clerical error. And because of that, their business is going to be dramatically impacted. Another gun dealer, just a couple counties from here, they were shut down. Same scenario, clerical error. They got shut down during an audit. And this is destroying people's lives. This is something that is unacceptable, in my opinion. These agencies, the ATF, all these alphabet agencies that are out there, what they're doing, instead of being servants of the people and trying to protect people from true criminals, they are going after American citizens who are just trying to be involved in legitimate constitutional business. And, they're targeting them just because of the hatred of a society of people being able to purchase and own firearms. It is up to us. It is up to the individual citizen, to get in contact with our legislatures, to our representatives, both at the state and federal level, and have them to put a stop to this nonsense. On top of that, what we need is legislation that goes through and prevents this type of thing from happening again. We're getting too much of this executive fiat that is destroying people's lives, that is affecting people's lives in so many ways. And it's not just the owners of the business. These businesses have employees, and employees end up losing their jobs as well. And we all know how hard it is in this day and age with this inflation, with the cost of everything going up. For a lot of people, sometimes they take a second job at one of these stores if it's not their primary job. in small towns especially. And it's destroying people's lives in many ways, simply because of an executive fiat. This is unacceptable. And something else. When a police officer, a federal agent, or anyone else, before they take their role, they swear an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. These folks that are doing some of this stuff are willfully violating that oath. Many of them just don't care. That's just the reality of it. Many of them just don't care. In my opinion, I think they should be prosecuted. They should be removed immediately from their jobs and be prosecuted for willfully violating people's civil rights. But it'll probably never get done unless we, the people, demand our legislatures take action. And we demand some accountability in what's going on. But guys, I really hate to see what's going on. But I would ask you to do this. Talk to some of the gun store owners in your area and let me know what they say down in the comments below, because I'm sure we're going to see it repeated many times over, how in many cases these guys are fearful. There again, that one gun store that I was in just a few days ago, the owner, what his words were to me was, when they come in for an audit, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. That's unacceptable in this country. But guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Share the video. Check out all the links down below this video. I'm sure YouTube's going to shadow ban it, so I'm sure that I would really appreciate it if you guys would share it. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.